Welcome, or welcome back to A Game of Fangs and Thrones. My name is Hannah, and this is my January 2022 wrap-up. That just feels so weird, 2022. I read 12 books, and I have my little reading journal here to keep track of my ratings and things. So in the month of January I read 12 books. One was a 1-star or a DNF, 2 were 3 stars, 5 were 4 stars, and I had 4 5 stars. Now those can range from 4.75 to 4.5 and in between, because I am going back to a personal rating in quarters. That might change. But the first book I read was Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. This got a 4.75 for me. I absolutely adored everything. The only thing that stopped it from getting a 5-star rating for me personally was the writing style. It is told in a conversationalist interview tone, which is fine, but it kept pulling me out of the story as we have 2 quite distinct storylines. We have, I think you all know what this one is about, but basically this is a story in which the vampires have taken over. It's been 30 years since the sun last rose, and in that time the vampires have built an empire. We follow Gabriel de Leon, who is the last remaining Silver Saint, a holy order that was created to destroy the vampires. And he is captured by a vampire, and the vampire, his queen, or his empress, wants Gabriel's life story, and it's basically what this book is. Gabriel recounting his life and in one timeline, and then in the other present day timeline almost, it is them talking. But that part bugged me, because if Gabriel needed to explain something, it would disrupt the flow of the story, and because there were multiple timelines, it took me a while to figure out where everything was happening. But this is a very good book. It's a lovely edition. This is the Illumicrate edition. Then, I'm not going in any particular order, by the way. Then I picked up Eon, Rise of the Dragon Eye. This is by Alison Goodman. This is a reread. The prompt I got for that was reread an old favourite. The prompt for Empire of Vampire, if anybody was interested, is read an intimidating book. But this is an oldie but a goodie to me. At least it got 5 stars upon reread. It isn't a good contender for best books because of 2022, because it is a reread and I want to focus on new books for that list. But this follows young Eon in a East Asian inspired world where 12 boys are pitted against each other to see if one of the dragons will choose them so that they can become the next Dragon Eye. This touches on familial roles, gender roles. There's a little bit of LGBTQIA plus rep in here. It also it's been a while since I read this one, but it is really good. It does have a Mulan trope. There probably are triggers for it, and major triggers for vampire, but if you are, I don't tend to notice them unless they are glaringly obvious. So if you are concerned about anything, best check out trigger warning lists on Goodreads. I'm sure someone's posted them. But yeah, this is the first in a duology, and it still holds up. It's dragons. Do we expect anything else from a channel named A Game of Fangs and Thrones? Fangs, come on, losing the name there. But anyway, then I picked up Hawthorne Legacy by Jonathan Lynn Barnes. This is the sequel to the Inheritance games, which follows Avery, who is a nobody thrust into the spotlight following the death of Tobias Hawthorne, who mysteriously leaves her his entire fortune. More twists and turns in this one, some questions answered, a lot more asked, and I gave it 4.75 or 4.5, I can't quite remember. Let's check the list. 4.5. And the reason why was because it did get a little bit confusing towards the end. Not confusing in a fun mystery way, but confusing in a what just happened kind of way. Then we'll talk about Frostheart by Jamie Littler. This was fine. Really imaginative and engaging. I loved the characters. It just didn't give me that wow factor, so it got a 1.75. So close to being a 4, but just didn't do it. It is still a good book. I am going to continue with the series, but it just didn't give me the same feel that some of the other 4 stars on the list did. We'll do these two last because they are 5-star reads and they are potentially best books of the month. We have Lock and Key, Welcome to Lovecraft. This is volume 1 of the graphic novel series by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. This got 5 stars. The art is very gruesome and graphic, but this basically follows the story of the 3 Locke siblings whose dad is brutally murdered in front of them, and they move to his familial home in New England and find keys that do magical and scary things. But there is something in the well that wants those keys too. This is the graphic novel that the Netflix series is based on. And then we have Starfell, Willow Moss and the Lost Day by Dominique Valente, illustrated by Sarah Warburton. This is a cute little middle grade that I gave 4 stars. This got 4 stars and Frostheart only got 3.75 because this hit different. This was cute and I related to the character. But basically in this one we follow Willow, who is the least powerful of the 3 Moss children, the Moss girls. She has the ability to find lost things and thinks it's useful but not exactly exciting until the most feared witch of the town comes to get her to tell her that last Tuesday has gone missing. What follows is a very funny and not heart-wrenching but funny story of trying to find a last Tuesday. I'm going to pause here because my camera's going to start flashing. Slight change in camera angle while I'll charge the camera, but anyway. Yep, so Starfell got 4 stars. I'm being generous with my 1 star, and that is for Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. I unfortunately DNF'd this book. It just didn't feel right. It felt a bit, I'm reading my notes here, it felt a bit flat. I couldn't get into the story, the character seemed a bit whiny. But basically in this, and from what I remember, we follow Ara, who is the only one in her family not to have magic, and she would do anything to get the magic, but she knows of a ritual that she can do to get magic, but she doesn't do it until the kids go missing. I don't remember. The next 4-star book was Mortal Engines by Philip Reeve, the first in the quartet. This was interesting because it did take a while to get going, and I was thinking that it might be another DNF, but it did. It had a slow start, but in a bit of a weird writing style. But once the story gets going, it's really enjoyable. This follows Tom, who lives on a motorised version of London that survives by cannibalising other motorised cities. He gets swept up in a plot when... Why can I never remember names? when Hester sneaks aboard London and tries to kill Valentine. Now Valentine is the guy in charge, and he is a famed archaeologist. My goodness, I said that. Now he is a famed archaeologist, getting relics from our present day, because this seems to be like a futuristic dystopian, and Tom ends up getting involved in something he probably shouldn't, which ends up saving Hester's life, but getting them both chucked out of London into the wastelands. Now Hester wants to try and kill Valentine, so very good book, it just takes a while to get going. We have The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. This is the sequel to A Deadly Education, which is part of the Scholarments. I want to say this is going to be a trilogy, but I'm not sure. This book got a 3.5. It's a very, again, it's a conversationalist writing tone, which isn't too bad, but Elle, our narrator, goes off on tangents, and it does take you out of the story a little bit, but then takes me out of the story a lot actually, and I don't think I can actually tell you what this is about. It is a sequel, so it doesn't have that on its side, but it is a good sequel. But this is basically in a world where the kids that use magic are sent to a school to learn how to use that magic. However, something has gone wrong with the school, and it is attracting all the Maleficara, which are like magic monsters that these kids have to destroy, because the school wants to eat them and destroy them and wants their magic. I don't know. I think this one, and obviously and Deadly Education, if you like audiobooks, I think this one might be one for an audiobook, because it is told as if Elle is having a conversation with you. Then we have Iron and Magic by Ilona Andrews. This is a 4-star. This is a adult urban fantasy romance between Alara, who is a bit of an abomination. She has a magic that can't be categorized, and then we have Hugh Diambry, who was a warrior cast out from his immortal, nearly omnipotent master because he betrayed him. And it's a story of them getting married because they both have something the other one needs. What I liked about this is that even though it is only a short book, there is a sense of mutual agreement in this, and the smut is very good, even if you do have to wait until the end of the book for it. So I got 4 stars, and I will be keeping an eye out for the rest of the series. Now, what I'm going to do for this year to try and help me with my 20 best books of 2022 is I'm going to, at the end of each wrap up, I'm going to talk about the two, well, it's 2 books this time, the best books of that month, and for January we are starting the ball rolling with The Girl Who Speaks Bear by Sophie Anderson and You by Carolyn Katniss. Now these are both these are both 5-star reads. As mentioned, there were a couple of others, but I don't really want to put graphic novels in this list because I don't think I read enough, and Eon was a reread. So in The Girl Who Speaks Bear, by Sophie Anderson, we follow Yanka, who was found abandoned in front of a bear cave and taken to the village, and she's always been called Yanka the Bear, not because of where she was found, but because she is taller, stronger than most of the adults in her village. Something happens in the town that means that Yanka ends up fleeing to the relative safety of the forest, and she finds out the truth about who she is and where she came from. This book has some, you'll not be able to find it now, has some really cool illustrations. I'm not going to find it now. And within the story there are like folk tales told by Anatoly, who is who is a friend of Yanka. He tells these stories. These are magical realism stories about the forest and the forest life, and Yanka believes in them. Her adopted mother doesn't, but likes the stories for what they are. But you actually get to read the stories that Yanka is being told, so that was a really nice touch. And Sophie Anderson has a way of writing that is just so beautiful and emotive. So this got 5 stars, and it could be a potential. I haven't been able to stop thinking about this. The other book is You by Carolyn Katniss, and again, I haven't been able to stop thinking about this one for a completely different reason. So, if you aren't aware, this follows Joe Goldberg, who is a stalker, so just be wary of that going in. And it is told in second person, so you walk into a room, you blah blah blah. This got 5 stars. I rooted for Joe, even though he's doing some sketchy things, and I don't know what else to tell you. I absolutely adored this. He gets into some crazy shit, but it just goes to show how easy it is with the age of social media to get. Not saying that everybody on social media is going to be stalked, but if you overshare, it is potential, and it does make it easier if you overshare. But I haven't been able to stop thinking about this one for a completely different reason than Yanka, but these two are definitely potentials for the list, because I laughed, I cried, I felt for these characters, and basically this rating system is all personal, so take it with a pinch of salt. What I like in a book you might not like, but that's it for this video. Give it a like if you like it, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see this, talk about these, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!